A couple of things I want to go through with my Savage about what I've done with it over the last year about keeping it running in a half sensible way. I know we'll have our problems. I know we all like to go out crashing them and smashing them and bashing them and fixing them back up again. But if you can fix them for cheaper, then it's even better, isn't it? First thing I've been listening about, reading about on the site is people changing these over to a new style linkage. I don't think you need to. I think just proper maintenance on this and a little bit of engineering, you get this running a lot better. What I've done with mine is took it apart like so. You can get the bastard thing out. There you go. As you can see, that part down there on the inside, get a bit of sandpaper or Dremel and give it a shave on the inside of that and on the opposite side as well, in the hole there. Give it a shave in there, so when you put it all back on, it's a lot looser. You don't want it too loose, otherwise it'll just sit there and rattle around and it won't do very much good for your servo. When you're screwing it down, make sure you don't screw it down too tightly, because that could be another problem, having it screwed too tightly. Oh, where's my controller? There it is. Right, let's see if this works. See, as you can see, with my slight modification, you find I'm not getting any sticking at all. The other one I want to say about is your spur gear. Proper good maintenance your spur gear. Before I take my truck out, I'll make sure my spur gear is spinning, not freely, but I do have a certain amount of slip on it as well. So I always put the screwdriver in the back and make sure I can turn it with my hand. A lot of problems I've had with my spur gear over the years is I've found it's bound, and that's what blows them up, or your clutch bell, depending on what spur gear you got. If you've got a plastic one, they have this tendency to melt. I put one on the other day which ended up bloody melting, which I wasn't too amused by. But with plastic ones, they do have this tendency to well, kind of die. And that one happened to be my engine vibrating, inside a vibration through it. That's what blew that one up. But when you are buying a spur gear, buy something that's got quite wide teeth in it, not thin ones like this. The reason being is with a thicker one, these are about the same thickness, width, as what your clutch bell teeth are. You find you're distributing the force more evenly across your clutch bell and the spur gear. With these ones, you've got more of a greater force on a smaller area, hence why it has tendency to chew up your clutch bells as well. So I'd rather buy lots and lots of pads as opposed to spur gears. Another top tip I'd like to mention is grabbing yourself a waterproof air filter. Don't buy one of these K&N air filters. Yeah, they all look good and this, that and the other, but they're not strictly designed for nitro engines. They're more for your motor at home. These things are good. I invested in one of these in my last engine. I ended up blowing it up, not blowing it up, but ruining it, because I ended up getting water into the engine, which knackered up the piston, and also my carburetor was knackered, so it was just easier just buy a whole new engine for it. A couple of other little mods I've done with my truck is on my suspension. To the front, it's easier to see. Instead of going for completely different suspension, I just bought extra springs. Got rid of the spacers you get on the front. Don't really need them on the back. But on the top half, I've got a stronger spring to what it is on the bottom, and I'll get the full movement on it, and I put a stronger, heavier oil in there as well, so you get a better dampening effect, especially when you're coming down from a stupid amount of feet up in the air. Invest in yourself in some good quality servos like Savage, or some of the HPI owned ones are very good. Can't grumble with them either. Couple of other things you can see on my truck is I've got big lumps of metal hanging out the front. That's when it lands on the front, I kind of want to protect my shell a bit, because it's a fiberglass shell, and I found with the stock front bumper it was ruining it, and it's made slightly larger holes in it, which I don't really want to do. So by having a big lump of metal on the front, with a little bit of metal up behind. It's easier to see on the back. You can see on the back down there, the camera going to focus. Up there, there is a nice amount of aluminium sits up there. So these rods got this aluminium plate which goes onto the diff box, which transfer the force when it lands on it through the whole truck. So you're not putting too much pressure on anything. All you guys who've got aluminium upgrades, yeah, they all look good in bits and pieces, but what you're doing when you land, you're transferring the force from somewhere else. These arms and bits and pieces, you're best off leaving stock because they're designed to bend. And when something bends, it means it's not going to break as easy. With an aluminium arms and so on and so forth, they will tend to break a lot more easily. By all means, upgrade to an aluminium gearbox. They look good. I mean, I've got an aluminium gearbox on my centre, but that's only because my old one, I threaded all the holes in the sides and bits and pieces. I've been slightly extravagant with my screws and bits and pieces. Always empty your fuel tank after every run. Take the glow plug out the top and give it a squirt inside with some GT85 or some after run oil. Old nitro, if you don't use your truck very much, it will tend to congeal and it get clogged up in all your carburetors and your jets and bits and pieces. You don't really want that, and it's a nightmare to drive. Spraying it with GT85 or after run oil will make your truck start a whole lot easier as well. A couple of other little things I've done to my truck as well is on the back tracking rod arms is, I don't know if you can see, on my tracking rod arms, sorry about the camera work, it's a bit difficult trying to do this one-handed. You can see either side I've got a bit of silicone and a washer on the outer screw as well to keep the silicone tubing in place. What the silicone tubing does, it acts like a bush. You get them on your car sitting in the driveway, anti-roll bar bushes and so on and so forth. What you find is you're getting a lot less movement in that at all, which improves handling no end. It's unbelievable. Get a sway bar, do the same with a sway bar. I don't know if those sway bars are actually any good or not. You probably see on the back there the aluminium crossbar I've got where these bars sit up against. So use zip ties to keep them in place because it'll be the weakest point. If anything catastrophic does happen, it'll be the zip ties which will break first. The hump pack on the back is to power my lights for my truck. See? Lights all over the place on it. Don't half look good when it's out running. I put tape on my rear wishbones there. You can see a bit of blue tape down there. That's just to stop all the grass and crap getting up in there. It's just easier to clean so on and so forth as well. When you bring your truck back, always make sure you give it a good clean. I know it's not the best example, but always make sure you give it a grease, especially down inside the wheel hubs. You know, all down in there as well with some WD-40 or GT85 or any, spray grease would be good. And also on your springs and anything's basically moving as well. It'll help your truck out, stop things going rusty. Make sure you get your dog bones a bit of an oil in as well. Stops them from getting rusty. Managed to break a dog bone the other day. I did put it on the site. Got those little things I've done. It's got an aluminium gearbox. The only reason why I got the aluminium gearbox was because of better screws and threads and bits and pieces. Instead of going metal to plastic, I've got metal to metal, a lot harder to thread. And also I wanted to put these screws here on my plastic one. I managed to mash them up quite early on, getting my Savage. That's half the reason why I got it. Also, I've upgraded to a nice titanium brake disc there, and that's brilliant. I haven't got any pads on the brake shoes themselves. It's basically got to go metal to metal. It's not the ideal thing, but it brakes, and it brakes very well. Also, one of the other things about this Savage is, well, this gearbox is it has a reverse gear on it. You won't find too many aluminium gearboxes with a reverse gear mech on it. Now they said you wouldn't get a reverse gear mech on it, but I sat there with my old man for a long time getting a reverse gear mechanism to actually fit. As you can also see, I've only got it running rear wheel drive as well, but we did manage to get it in there and we did do it, and it does work. It's absolutely spot on as well. Not really an awful lot else I've actually done. Other than that, oh yeah, some of you guys have also gone over to having a bit of silicone tubing instead of a spring now, and I did have that and it worked well. But with that titanium disc on there, I found it bit really hard. With a spring there, what you're getting as it breaks, you're actually getting a progressive braking, which is how it was supposed to be designed in the first place. So I've gone back to it. If it ain't broken, don't fix it, is what the old saying is. More lights on the front there with another battery pack, so we can see where we're going as well. Yeah, look. Can't argue with that, can you? Anyway, guys, couple of money saving tips there for you. Hope you enjoyed the vid. Feel free to ask any questions and bits and pieces. There's plenty of people on the sites which will give you any answers you need. I'll get a lot of my information from these sites and absolutely brilliant. So read through. Well, your chances are what you've been asking has already been asked on the site itself. And you will find the answer you're looking for. There she is, in all her glory. Thanks very much for watching.